Hello, audience. Let me start with a brief introduction of myself first. My name is Michiel Haasbroek and I work as the Chief Finance and Risk Officer for Banque Internationale Luxembourg in Switzerland. I'm based in Zurich. I've actually always worked in banking, and my work brought me to a number of different countries, mainly in Asia, but I've also worked extensively throughout Europe, Australia. I started in risk management, of which a substantial number of years was spent in the country risk department of a large globally active bank. After that, I obtained a PhD in international political economy, and in 2020 I decided to move back to Europe and joined my current employer. Like many of you, I've had first-hand experience with a number of crises, from the Eurozone debt crisis to the trade war, the pandemic, and now of course the impact of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. But there were also events that did have an impact, but where the shockwaves remained much more contained. Think of the ongoing threat on the Korean Peninsula, a rising China that actively alters the economic and political map of the world. In essence, geopolitical risk has perhaps been far more present than we always thought. Right now, however, it appears that this talk is actually a couple of years too late. While I wanted to talk about geopolitical risk, it is fair to say that at the moment we have passed the risk stage and we're now firmly into the stage where the risk is actually manifesting itself. We can still contribute, of course, by giving some background analysis. The question, where does the current situation actually come from, remains relevant. And can we, from the analysis of its origin, say a little bit more about the depth and duration of the situation? I believe we can. So in terms of content, what I would like to address today is a comprehensive overview of the current state of geopolitical risk. This would not only need to cover what is going on, but also what we can do to measure, understand, and manage the risk. There's hardly any doubt at the moment that geopolitical risk is top of mind of decision makers, and rightfully so. We expect that volatility in global affairs is likely to continue. The IMF has recently revised its World Economic Outlook and revised down its expectation for global growth in the context of the various shocks that we've experienced, and the effect of the changing geopolitical environment manifests itself in areas such as cybersecurity, supply chain stability, and operational level concerns such as staff health and safety, and the pressure to ensure sanction compliance. That forces us to grapple with the question, what is actually going on here? Can we find common themes along the various manifestations of risk we see? I like to propose that we are dealing with two distinct push and pull factors, or macro trends, that affect the behaviors of citizens and countries alike. These two factors help to describe and capture trends and can best be described as fragmentation and distribution. These two aspects capture a wide-ranging scala of different trends we see at the moment that function as drivers of the behavior of politicians, professionals, and regular citizens like you and me. First, let us look at fragmentation. In this column, I argue that we see here such things as fragmentation of technological standards. Think, for instance, about the race towards 5G and the political implications this brings with it. It is in fact a little similar to the race in standards for video cassettes, with the important difference that the impact of 5G is far more pervasive in our lives than the impact of the VCR ever was. 5G should bring us applications that are very, very far ranging, and of course that's a little bit more invasive than the video cassette ever was in our lives. It shows, however, that there are new challengers on the horizon that cannot be easily plied to follow what is dictated by the incumbent that used to articulate technological standards. We also see a fragmentation of resource ownership. This is not just in the area of energy commodities, but also in input factors such as rare earth. The creation of photovoltaics, which we all rely on for the energy transition, is for instance highly dependent on these rare earth, as is manufacturing of semiconductors or other technological developments. This